Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, as above, so below. Continued study. Goodman has been on a long journey. It's a rescue mission that brings the 144,000 home. In my last study, I found many themes that made it look like a good watch time. Yet the last watch time passed and we're still here. So apparently I was still missing something. Now, one thing I got to remember is that there's two sides of the same coin. Sister Sherry and Sister Rhonda. And so with one side of the coin, just like Sister Sherry did, I like correlations of history. So Sister Sherry liked correlations of history. That's what I've always been looking for a timing of leaving. But after talking to Sister Rhonda the other day about the upcoming dates that I was looking at, we just further discussed, and she was really indicating that she really believes this is going to be a rescue mission. That's what she's feeling. And we discussed other things also, of which she pointed out in a post separately afterwards. And this is what it read. Feels to me like our departure hinges on CERN and the merging of dimensions. We leave, they come in. It's a rescue mission. And then all hell breaks loose. That's just my feeling and how I see it happening in my spirit. The pole flip could also take place at that time. We know that the Father rescued his people the last time because there were too many creatures being brought in. Well, how are they let in? CERN, and there's not just one. It's all coming to a head, folks. Will it take place in the days ahead or down the road? Free will and the Father's will. We are to be prepared for all scenarios. It'll happen when the Father allows it to happen. And I firmly believe this. Our time will come. And in our waiting, God is working and finding his and your perfect timing. So in this study, I plan to keep themes somewhat similar to my original study, along with finding a common theme in historical events regarding a rescue mission. So one of the common themes that I used in the last study was that of first fruits and mature trees, in the developing of mature trees of 4 years. Now, originally I looked at that from when Sister passed, but instead let's look at that from the time of when Sister Sherry passed, the first time that a first fruit would need to be counted again. And when was the first fruits of first fruits? Would be on the third day of creation, when God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." And it was so. And that third day, of course, would be the day before the first day on God's calendar. Now, I've already shown that the first day of the first month on God's calendar matches on the Gregorian calendar with March 21st. So this day before would match on the Gregorian calendar with March 20th, and therefore would be the matching anniversary date of the third day of creation. So taking this all into consideration, I want to see where this leads us. Now we go 4 years, plus if you remember in my last study, I mentioned the 41 days of Leviticus 12 verses 2 and 4. The 7 and 33 equaling 40, the 41st day becoming the day that the child can be presented. Now also the start of the fourth year is also day 1 of the 41 days to be able to be presented to the high priest. And again, keeping with the themes of the last study, let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber. What day is the sun in the chamber? In the tabernacle. Remember? It was in the tabernacle on the day of the equinox. And indeed, that day does fall on March 20th. So following this out, day 41 from birth of first fruits anniversary date comes to April 29th, 2022 of this year. And that day matches with the 10th day of the second month of God's calendar, the month of Ziph. And in Jasher 6:10 through 14, we read about this day, where it says, "And all the animals, beasts, and fowls were still there, and they surrounded the ark at every place, and the rain had not descended till 7 days after. And on that day the Lord caused the whole earth to shake, and the sun darkened, and the foundations of the world raged. And the whole earth was moved violently. The lightning flashed, and the thunder roared, and all the foundations in the earth were broken up, such as was not known to the inhabitants before. And God did this mighty act in order to terrify the sons of men, that there might be no more evil upon the earth. And still the sons of men would not return from their evil ways, and they increased the anger of the Lord at that time, and did not even direct their hearts to all this. And at the end of the 7 days, in the 600th year of the life of Noah, the waters of the flood were upon the earth, and all the foundations of the earth were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And definitely this is a correct theme, a theme in the past of, indeed, a rescue mission. And Sister Sherry says on April 28th, 2017, in regards to the day in history, she said, this time back in the day of the Enoch calendar, if you're going by the book of Jasher in the Enochian calendar in correlation to tomorrow, which would be the 29th of April, on the Enochian calendar is when the door was shut. They waited 7 days and the rain began, when Noah was herded into the ark with his family and all. While also saying, but anyway, today, tomorrow, Noah enters the ark. All this stuff has prophetic significance. That's why I like correlations. Prophetic significance. And that's why I think I felt led to really match these type of things. Now, I've pointed out this scripture of Proverbs 7, where it says, "For the good man is not at home. He is gone a long journey. He has taken a bag of money with him. Come home at the day appointed." And I've pointed out that day of appointed can mean the full moon. But guess what? Now, although the Hebrew meaning for the word appointed does mean full moon, H3677, it comes from H3680, meaning covering, conceal, cover, closed. And indeed, that's indeed what was happening in the days of Noah. They were concealed, they were covered in the ark. And in fact, one of the steps that was taken when they came out of the ark was that they took off the covering of the ark. Genesis 8:13. So back to the good man, being not at home. He's on a long journey. What else are we told about being on a long journey? We are told in Numbers 9, 10, and 11 that if we are in a journey afar off, we shall keep the Passover until the Lord on the 14th day of the second month at even. So what would this mean then? It would mean that the lamb selection day would then be on the 10th day of the second month, matching with April 29th. And seriously, so fitting this would be if it was to come up as this originally in the first month, on the 10th day of the first month. Yahushua rode in and meek and sitting on the colt. And this time around, maybe it would be on the 10th day of the second month. What a difference that would be, where maybe we could see Revelation 6:15 through 17 taking place, where literally the kings of the earth will be hiding in the caves and asking to be hidden from the face of him that sits on the throne in the wrath of the Lamb. So just like Yahushua being considered the good man being away, we are also, as the good man, being away, scattered abroad, as Matthew 26:31 tells us it would be. So reconsidering this 10-day process that Sister Sherry told us that Father was going to take in gathering his people. If we go back 10 days from the 10th day of the second month, we go back to the first day of the second month. And in 1 Ezra 5:57, we read, they laid the foundation of the house of God in the first day of the second month. Looking back on Haggai 2:18 and 19, it says, consider now from this day and upward, from the 24th day of the 9th month, even from the day that the foundation of the Lord's temple was laid. Consider it. And again, we just saw what day that was. The first day of the second month, the Lord's temple was laid. And then it says, is the seed yet in the barn? And the Hebrew word for seed is H2233, meaning seed, offspring. And regarding seed, Isaiah 61:9 tells us, and their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which the Lord hath blessed. And in Isaiah 61:1 and 2, it tells us what this all is about, this timing. That 61:9 and the seed is talking about. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, in the opening of the prison to them that are bound. And then in Isaiah 61:6 that we're told exactly what Sister Sherry has told us. 61:6 tells us, but ye shall be named the priests of the Lord. Men shall call you the ministers of God. Ye shall eat of the riches of the Gentiles, and in their glory shall ye boast yourselves. Sister Sherry indeed said, once we're taken up into heaven, we're going to be rulers on earth and priests with the Lord during the millennial reign. And back yet into the barn for Haggai 2, when it said that. Barn means dwelling place. So dwelling place, I think this very well could be the place that Yahushua says that he went to prepare for us. A place that we've been calling Enoch's planet, that very well also could be called Zion. And I think that it's also very well could be the woman of Revelation 12 that gives birth to the child. They come together. And so remember, the woman is waiting to be delivered herself, not the child, but the woman. So very interesting wording there. So I think that indeed Yahushua brings us, the child, to the woman, to Enoch's planet. So in sense, Enoch's planet could become our barn, our dwelling place. So it's interesting to know that the second month on God's calendar is called Ziph. And Ziph is Hebrew word H2099, meaning brightness. And so isn't it neat to know that Daniel 12:3 says, "And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament." Also in Isaiah 62:1 we read, "For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth." So what else is going on during this time frame of the 1st, April 20th, through the 10th, April 29th, of God's first month? Well, in Jasher 88:14 through 18, we can find out that this is the timing of when, in the second month, on the first day of the month, that the Lord said to Joshua, "Rise up, behold, I have given Jericho into thy hand with all the people thereof, and all your fighting men shall go round the city once each day. That shall you do for 6 days. And the priests shall blow upon trumpets. And when ye shall hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall give great shouting, that the walls of the city shall fall down. All the people shall go up, every man against his opponent." And Joshua did so according to all that the Lord had commanded him. And on the 7th day they went round the city 7 times. And the priests blew upon trumpets in the 7th round. Joshua said to the people, "Shout, for the Lord has delivered the whole city into our hands." Now, after reading these verses of the story of Jericho and the tearing down the walls thereof, reminds me of this verse of Micah 2:13, that says, "The breaker is come up before them. They have broken up and have passed through the gate and are gone out by it. And their king shall pass before them, and the Lord on the head of them." So let's look a little bit closer at the wording of this story of what was happening in Jericho. So if we look at the word Jericho, it means its moon, but it also comes from H7306, meaning fragrant. Yes, fragrant, and the odor of orgone, a fragrant that is not too pleasant to them in their ships. So here's a summary of the word Jericho: place fragrance, city of the moon, scent or fragrance, to wander or travel. Yeah, to wander or travel. Oh, back to that same thought of on a long journey. Goodman, coming home. So what could this rescue mission be? That we are going home, but he is coming also home to get us to go home. Well, the day before the last trump of Jericho is the 6th day of the second month, which would correspond with April 25th on the Gregorian calendar, and be the day in which CERN begins their physics operations. So here we go. Physics, connected to the word physical, as of the body, and a possible entrance of actual physical entities. And so what about them? What about our enemy? Is this an opportune time for them to come in? Well, I found out that Ramadan The month of it is matching with April 1st through May 1st. That's when that falls, the whole month. Now, they are told that for the Mahdi to appear, there are two signs which have never appeared. And they say that the moon will be eclipsed on the first night of Ramadan, and also the sun will be eclipsed on the middle day. And in a roundabout way, I found out that the moon indeed was eclipsed on the first day of Ramadan, where we read in a headline, April new moon 2022, Venus, Saturn, and Mars clustered together in moonless sky. Now, we are told that to establish the beginning of Ramadan, they are looking for the new moon in the area of Saudi Arabia. So I did want to verify that the new moon in Saudi Arabia did happen on April 1st. And it did on April 1st at 9:24 a.m. And then so trying to get a correct understanding of how their Islamic week works, I read here that their gathering day matches with our 6th day on the Gregorian calendar and what we call a Friday. So following this out on the Islamic calendar and the Gregorian calendar, we can see that basically the Gregorian calendar is one day behind the Islamic calendar as far as the day of the week goes. The first day of the week on the Islamic calendar is the last day of the week on the Gregorian calendar. The second day is the first day of the week, and then so on and so forth. And so that would match then as such. Their 7th day of the week is what our Gregorian 6th day of the week is. And thus their first day is our Gregorian 7th day, their second day is our Gregorian 1st day, their third day is our Gregorian 2nd day, so on and so forth. So I want to get back to on the middle day of Ramadan. What can that mean? And I don't think it actually means the 15th day of the month. And so I think it can only mean two other possibilities. Now, it's interesting to note that we are told that there is a partial solar eclipse on April 30th. And if April 30th is actually considered a middle day of the week on the Islamic calendar, then that could be a possibility. But April 30th is actually their first day of the week, our Gregorian Saturday. And the next day, May 1st, would be their second day of the week, our Gregorian Sunday, neither of which would be considered what would be a middle day. So let's go back looking at the days of Noah in the first part of this study. The 10th day of the second month equals April 29th. Noah shut in, day 1. 11th day of the second month, April 30th. Noah, day 2. 12th day of the second month, May 1st. Noah, day 3. May 1st, last day of Ramadan. Now, I could see a scenario of the first 3 days and the days of Noah from the past could match with the first 3 days of the pole flip scenario, where we were told by Sister Sherry that in the third day, everything will go dark. Now, we remember we already ruled out that it can't be a middle day of the week because May 1st didn't correspond with the middle day of the week on the Islamic calendar. And so if this is our timing and their timing, the only possibility that I see is that middle day could only mean middle of the day or noonday. And sure enough, Hebrew word H6672, noonday, does mean noon, midday. And so in closing, I want to take a look at this word noonday. In Isaiah 16:3, we read of the word noonday when it says, "Take counsel, execute judgment, make thy shadow as the night. In the midst of the noonday, hide the outcast. Bewray not him that wandereth." And wandereth actually means depart. And in Psalms 91:5-6, we read, "You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor the destruction that lays waste at noonday." And then in verse 8, we're told why. "That only with your eyes shall you behold and see the reward of the wicked." Finally, Jeremiah 15:7-8 says, "I will fan them with a fan in the gates of the land. I will bereave them of children. I will destroy my people, since they return not from their ways. Their windows are increased to me above the sand of the seas. I have brought them upon them, the mother of the young men, a spoiler at noonday." In verse 9, look at this. "Her sun is gone down while it was yet day." Yes, sun eclipsed. "Thy will be done, Father."